Hello, everyone. I am here to talk to you about Common Voice, and let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, for the agenda, give you a little introduction, talk about why free speech is important, specifically with data, the Common Voice project, and then how to contribute. All right, introduction. Hi everyone, I'm Lindsay and I'm going to tell you more about the Common Voice project and how Mozilla is moving forward to make voice technology available to everyone. First, a bit about myself. I've been at Mozilla for nearly 5 years and have been working on Common Voice for the past 2. Before that, I was on the connected devices team working on voice assistant research and implementation. It's been great to see the huge strides that we've made in this time, and I am excited to see what's next. All right. So more people than ever are using voice assistants. And we've seen rapid growth in voice assistants across the board from automotive to education, and voice being used in new and innovative ways. The current projected year-over-year growth rate means that in the future, your voice can be used multiple times a day to access different aspects of your life. To me, this is a bit scary when you think about what that means for the data that can be collected from your day-to-day life and personal interactions. Mozilla is currently doing research on what voice interaction looks like for the user. For instance, when do you want to use your voice for a task, and what does that interaction look like? There are many open questions about how and when voice is an appropriate medium for use. One thing that we do know is that speech recognition is owned by a few proprietary players, and most of that data isn't available to individuals. Mozilla feels this stifles innovation and puts the power into the hands of just a few companies. These companies have made great strides in speech recognition software, and I, for one, am grateful for the work that they have done. However, we would love to see what researchers, small companies, and makers could come up with if they had access to the same voice corpora as the current main players. Common Voice is all about collecting voice data in a safe and ethical way that can be used to train speech recognition algorithms like our own deep speech and models for specific use cases. Common Voice is all about speech data and how that data is collected and distributed. Common Voice not only collects your data when you are actively contributing, we never passively collect your voice data. For data distribution, all of our data is CC0 and is under hashed user IDs. So there are no identifying factors to the data you've contributed, and we strive for a safe, secure, and open data set. All right, let's jump into the Common Voice project. I've spent some time mentioning it. And as you might have gathered, this is Mozilla's initiative to collect voice data that everyone can use. Mozilla recently released the largest to-date public domain transcribed dataset of human voices available for use. And this included 18 different languages, adding up to almost 1,400 hours of recorded voice data from more than 42,000 contributors, which was huge. We were so excited to get these numbers. And you'll see why that's a great start, but not everything we need in just a little bit. From the onset, for Common Voice, to be able to build the world's most diverse data sets, optimized for building voice technology, we also made a promise of openness. We would make high quality transcribed voice data that was collected publicly and available to startups, researchers, and anyone interested in voice-enabled technologies. As a community-driven project, people around the world who care about having a voice data set in their language have been responsible for each new launch. We are entirely community-driven. Some are passionate volunteers, some are doing this as part of their day jobs as linguists or technologists. And each of these efforts requires translating of the website to allow contribution and adding sentences to be read. Our overall aim remains on providing more and better data to everyone in the world who seeks to build voice technology. Because competition and openness are healthy for innovation, and because smaller languages are an issue of access and equity, and because privacy and control matter, especially over your voice. And over the next few slides, I'll tell you a bit about our strategy and future plans. All right, the most important section here is that we really do want hundreds of thousands of people to donate. And we do want to enable the community to turn on their language. The more voices we have, the better the data will be. Right now, we have 28 languages collecting data. These have all been added in the past year, and we are excited to see the velocity other languages have made on translating the Common Voice website to their language and adding sentences for people to read. To enable the language, the community needs to have the Common Voice website translated and to have sourced or written at least 5,000 CC0 sentences to be turned on for voice collection. This tells us the community is ready to go and has a good momentum to get started. And remember how I said that we had 1,400 hours of data and that was great? It is, and it's a great start. But we have found that to have a minimum viable data set, we need 2,000 hours of data and 1,000 different voices. When you break that down, it's about 1.5 to 2 million sentences that have to be read per language. This might seem like an insurmountable feat when it only takes 5,000 sentences to get a language started. But we believe that partnering with different communities, organizations, and universities will help us get to this point. I would like to point out that 2,000 hours is the MVP. The end goal for each language is around 10,000 hours, which should provide a data set that can support a very well-running and commercially viable product. All right, what is next for Common Voice? We have a few things in the roadmap that I would love to share with this group, so let's jump right in. Partnerships. Common Voice team is looking to optimize and create partnerships that work both towards sentence collection as well as voice collection for the data set. This will allow us to collect data at a faster rate and help us work to build the communities around those data sets. And a great community is a huge priority for us. Our community manager, Ruben, is taking the lead on ensuring that everyone is heard in all of the open groups and that Mozilla can continue to offer support to events happening globally through talks and event creation documents. One of our focuses for the first half of the year is a Mandarin data set, and we are using this as a test data set to see how collection, working with partners, and activating a new community affects the velocity of the data set. We are currently in the middle of this process and are excited by the initial results, and we'll look to see what happens over the next 2 to 3 months. On the Common Voice website, we have been looking at the numbers, we have been taking in community suggestions, and we're excited to create new and better features for the website as well as data collection. One of the features that just launched is personal goal setting. New features will allow us to continually grow the Common Voice corpora and install a sense of community within the website. As I mentioned earlier, we have been working closely with the deep speech team. You may remember them from a previous slide as the team that runs the algorithms using the Common Voice dataset. To understand the minimum characteristics a dataset must meet to be useful for them. Working with this team is where we got the 2,000 hours and 1,000 speakers needed for the minimum viable datasets. One of the focuses of this team is having a better understanding of how voice overall fits into the Mozilla ecosystem. We're partnered with the emerging technologies team to create a solid strategy around how it will work. Mozilla aims to contribute to a more diverse and innovative voice technology ecosystem, and our goal is both to release voice-enabled products ourselves while also supporting researchers and smaller players. Providing data through Common Voice is one part of this, as are the open source speech-to-text and text-to-speech engine and trained models through Project Deep Speech, which is driven by our machine learning group. We know this will take time. As we mentioned, we're at 1,400 hours total of release data, and we need 2,000 per language for an MVP. We believe releasing early and working in the open can attract the involvement and feedback of technologists, organizations, and companies that will make these projects more relevant and robust. The current reality for both projects is that they are still in their research phase, with deep speech making strong progress towards productization. All right, let's talk about how you can contribute. I'm going to take you through a quick rundown of what you're going to see when you go to the Common Voice site. Welcome to the Common Voice landing page. From here, you can learn a little bit more about us, contribute, and build your profile. There are a couple different reasons to sign up for a profile. The first one is you'll be able to save and download any personal voice data that you donate, see the leaderboard, and track your progress. One of the great things about personal voice data that you donate is if any of you are machine learning technologists, you can create your own voice assistant from your voice, which is pretty cool, and it will be very accurate because it's only you, so it will definitely understand you. The second reason to create a profile is it helps train the dataset models when users are able to see your age, genders, where your accent is from, and what your native language is. Again, all of this information is under a hashed user ID and cannot be linked back to you through the data distributed. We would love for every person to donate 15 minutes. Really, that's it. If we had everyone who came to the website donate 15 minutes, we would only need 8,000 people to reach the MVP per language. Well, the MVP is 1,000 speakers. The greater number of speakers, accents, and locales in a certain language only make the data set stronger. We have a dual approving validation system. So each of the sentences has to be validated twice to make it into the data set. The end result is we don't want bad data in the data set. And so we do our best to allow the community to filter out any data they think is unusable. And the best way that we've found to do this is to not pass something into the data set until it's been approved twice. So the goal is double the speaking, which is 450 reviews per person. All right, I sped through that. You can email me at commonvoice@mozilla.com. That comes directly to my email address. I would suggest you go to voice.mozilla.org to check out the Common Voice website, and there you'll be able to see the discourse and GitHub. As I mentioned, all of the languages are community run, and we are an open source project. So if you'd like to be part of the community or to see what's happening in your language, check out the discourse. If you would like to help develop the features or want to see how this was built, check out the GitHub. Thank you. I'd like to open the floor up for questions.
Thank you very much, Lindsay. And yes, we have some. Some are answered already, I think, during the presentation. But Elma, for example, she wants to know, like, how willing are people to donate their voice? Like, what countries and profiles are most active? Can you tell us more about this?
I definitely can. So the countries that are most active are, unsurprisingly, the countries that Mozilla is most active in. So our two most active communities right now are English and German. We have seen a huge uptake in Spanish over the last month, as well as a big uptake in Mandarin, but that's not a surprise. We're pushing to see how that works in the community. And then our French community is also very active. Because the site's not, I wouldn't say it's the most exciting thing that you're going to do with your day. And so it takes an altruist person or somebody who knows a little bit about voice collection or knows about the data set currently to want to donate their voice. And so people are very willing to do that, especially if they have privacy concerns and read over our privacy policy. Data privacy is one of Mozilla's key foundational blocks. And so I think people feel more comfortable donating with Mozilla.
Okay. So yeah, and Samir, he wants to know, like, are you analyzing as well sentiments, or like, or how does it work? You're getting like these voices then at the end, or is it like sentiment part of it as well, like being positive or talking negative, or?
We have not had any negative sentiment yet. I'm sure there will be as we grow, as there is with everything. And that's, you know, a part of being a product in the world is having people be critical of you, and they should be. You know, we're collecting voice data, and so we want people to be critical. We want people to ask hard questions because that's what we need to be thinking about. So far, we've had only positive sentiment. People have been really excited to get their voice data. The biggest thing is it takes us a long time to release a data set, which is a shame, but it takes a lot of team time to do that. And so it's about a month-long process for us. And we're looking for ways to make that quicker so we can release data sets a little bit more quickly than we do currently. That's been the only main complaint. And I have that one too, so I get it.
Sure. Yeah, I think, Samir, or how I understand the question, is not like the people are thinking positive or negative about what you're doing, but more if you're analyzing my voice, if I'm saying something like very excited, like, hey, I like that, or I'm very bored, you know, like this kind of stuff.
Right.
Are you going to analyze this as well?
We are not currently, but you can. Part of the beauty of the CC0 data set is that anyone who downloads it can do whatever they'd like with it. So while we're not doing this specifically at Mozilla, there might be another team that is using our data for this that we're unaware of.
Okay. Cool. Alyssa, and I think you already answered this. She is asking, like, how do you prevent misuse or fraud? Saying like, yes, because of all these platforms, but on the other hand, you're not like paying people, but still, you know, there could be people like misusing a system or not giving like the voices. But as I understand, you're anyway making like or reviewing. So this is like, or yeah.
Yep. So because this is a CC0 data set, it's very hard to misuse because you can use it in any way that you would like. And for entering things into the data set for both sentences and validation, we do have a dual auth. And so for any sentences that we don't put in, that a contributor enters in, two people have to say, yes, that sentence is good. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not offensive in the ways it shouldn't be. And we do that the same way for the validation. We are working on tools to help people be able to alter and change sentence structure as they're validating to put the sentence back into the validator, because we have noticed for about 10% of the sentences, we have some punctuation problems, or there's something that's just a little bit wrong that needs to be fixed. So we are working on tools to help community members be able to use those.
Perfect. Yeah, and I think the last thing or last question like is, let me just show it. Oh yeah, this is like Elma, like what and how are the plans to provide the results? And I imagine this is exactly how you are heading our community to the website, no?
Yep. So provide results and assets to all. For that question, we have a dataset download. So you're welcome to go to the dataset download and download the voices. The download is currently from our January release. We're looking at another release within a couple months. We've got many new languages and hours more data. And so we do need to rebundle that into training data. So you should see that coming up in the next couple of months. And then if you have any questions on different sort of results and assets, you can feel free to email me, or our discourse community is an awesome resource, especially if you're looking for specific language things, because those are going to be the power users in each of your languages and really help move you forward to any questions that you need answers to.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think that's it already. And by the way, I have to admit, I'm using, or I was using already. So I already
Oh,
donated.
great.
I did it in German, I did it in French, and I did it in Spanish. So
Oh, that's so cool.
absolutely, yeah, I like it definitely. And I would say like everyone should do that because I like the idea very much as well. I can say that.
Absolutely, especially if you have an accent, or if you feel like Alexa does not understand you, or your voice assistant doesn't understand you, you are who we want. Because we definitely want to have diverse languages, diverse accents, diverse users, so that the voice assistant can be better.
Okay.
And we can't do that, without that diversity.
Absolutely. That's a great closing note. Thanks again very much, Lindsay, for having you with us on the bottish. We are going already to the next session. So yeah,
All
wishing
right.
you great luck and looking forward to the next results.
Thank you. Have a good
Thanks.
day.
And you too. Bye.